At a rally for his presidential campaign in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, former President Donald Trump decided to discuss the attacks carried out by Hamas in occupied Palestine. Although he didn't call them Hamas, he called them this.
Heard about today, the Hamas terrorist invasion. I mean, when you think about, and what do you think of Hamas? What do you think? Do you know about Hamas?
Apparently, Donald Trump wants his supporters to be very fearful of potential chickpea terror cells. Hummus. Are you kidding me? And of course, Donald Trump wasn't the only Republican to have an absolutely idiotic take. Let's turn our attention to Representative Andy Biggs and what he tweeted after the attack. He tweeted, "How many Hamas sleeper cells have crossed our southern border under the Biden administration's policies? We are not prepared." I'm Rayy Vana, and welcome back to Rebel HQ. To answer your question, Representative Biggs, probably zero. Probably zero Hamas sleeper cells have entered into the United States under Biden's supposedly lax immigration laws because Hamas operates primarily out of Gaza, and Gaza is the largest open-air prison in the world, in which the people residing in it do not have freedom of movement, meaning they can't leave. Also, to what end would Hamas be in the United States, Representative Andy Biggs? I would love to know. And I think this might be helpful for you. So here's a map showing just how far that border is from Gaza. As you can see, they are extremely far apart. That fact, coupled with the fact that there's no credible evidence that there are any Hamas sleeper cells residing in the United States, I think we can officially call Representative Andy Biggs a massive idiot. And I hope we can all agree that the actions of Hamas and the killing of innocent civilians is despicable. And that includes innocent Palestinian civilians who are being mowed down indiscriminately by the IDF as I am making this video. The Israeli government announced that in response to this terrorist attack, it was shutting off electricity, food, and water in and out of Gaza. That is collective punishment and a war crime. Residential buildings are being bombed. Entire families have been wiped out. And United States politicians, including the president and the State Department, are gleefully cheering this on. It is easy to condemn the actions of Hamas and the killing of innocent life while simultaneously holding the belief that Palestinians deserve freedom from the apartheid state that they are being forced to exist in. Likewise, it is necessary to condemn anti-Semitism in all of its forms and simultaneously condemn Islamophobia and genocidal rhetoric being directed at Palestinians. And if you're wondering what I mean by that, it's this.
Palestine! Palestine to my
What do you think the response should be from Netanyahu and the military to Gaza?
Kill all Palestinians! All of them! Not one left from the river to the sea. Palestine will be deceased!
That was footage from a pro-Israel protest in New York City this week. And as you heard, that protester is calling for the death of all Palestinians. Now, a reminder specifically about Gaza. The average age of a Gazan resident is 18 years old. 50% of the 2 million residents of Gaza are children. And here is this man gleefully cheering on the thought of killing innocent men, women, and children. And he was far and away not the only person celebrating that idea.
And Israel need to do like this. You see? Now Gaza. Like this. Gaza need to do like this. Or like this, but all this Jewish. Two options.
There you saw a man in no uncertain terms calling to turn Gaza, which I'll remind you again, has 2 million people living in it, the most densely populated place on Earth, to be leveled into a parking lot. And as I said previously, the residents of Gaza are not given freedom of movement. They cannot leave. So in his ideal world, the residents of Gaza, the Palestinians living there, will be leveled along with the buildings.
What do you think the response should be to Gaza?
We gotta wipe them off the map. I'm talking about every flatten them like a parking lot.
Yeah,
Yeah, flatten them out once and for
there's
all. Just get rid of that.
nothing else you can do. They proved to us that there's nothing else you can do. We tried, and
We tried everything. It doesn't work. We have to wipe them flat off the like parking lot.
And it is this type of rhetoric that paints not just all Palestinians, including the million children living in Gaza, as terrorists and acceptable targets of violence, but all Muslims in general. And this genocidal rhetoric is not just coming from the right wing, it's even coming from the Democratic Party in the United States. For example, Ryan Grimm of The Intercept reported that at a Dem meeting today, Susan Wild said that she was working to organize interfaith gatherings, but worried that Muslims in the Lehigh Valley might not feel comfortable coming. Because they're guilty, shouted Josh Gottheimer, sparking a tense exchange. Yes, that was Democratic Representative Josh Gottheimer blaming all Muslims for the atrocities carried out by Hamas, equating all Muslims with terrorism. And that is the exact type of rhetoric that allowed Islamophobia to spread after 9/11, and the exact type of rhetoric that manufactured the consent which allowed the United States government to go to Iraq and murder 1 million Iraqi civilians. And we need to be vigilant in calling out this type of racism so as not to allow that to happen to the individuals in Palestine. And I fear it's already happening to the residents of Gaza. So I call on all of you to raise your voices and call out this type of disgusting Islamophobia and genocidal rhetoric, just as we have called out the atrocities Hamas has committed on Israeli citizens. Use your voice to demand peace and an end to brutal deaths of innocent civilians.